Hello BookTube! For this Tag Tuesday, I'm going to be doing the Damn I'm Old book tag. This tag was created by Paperback Junkie, and I will leave a link to his original video in the show notes down below. Prompt number 1. First big book release you remember. Harry Potter. Prompt number 2. First author interview you remember. For this, I want to say I have kind of like two options for this one. Years ago, like in the late 90s and early 2000s, when Bravo, an American television station that, or channel on cable that originally focused on more higher end sort of programming, like so upmarket television. They had in the mornings a program that looked at specific, like they would look at contemporary authors. So there was an episode on Allen Ginsberg and one on Bret Easton Ellis, in which both Ginsberg and Ellis were interviewed for. So that could be an answer to this. But I have a better answer, and that is David McCullough. I went to a reading interview with him during the 2006, I think it was the 2005 Texas Book Festival. He was doing he was part of the programming for that year's Texas Book Festival, and I think he was interviewed by the, or was at least introduced by the then Secretary of Education. And then the next day I went to a similar program with Doris Kearns Goodwin, who was promoting Team of Rivals at the time. I don't quite remember what McCullough's book was at the time. So I'll go with that for my answer here, because it's a bit cooler than the Allen Ginsberg and Bret Easton Ellis programs. Prompt number 3. First book craze you remember, again, Harry Potter. Prompt number 4. First adaptation you remember, movie made for TV. Conan the Barbarian. Even though at the time I did not know it was an adaptation. But I remember watching Conan when I was like 3 or 4, or if not younger. I've been a fan of swords and sorcery, at least certainly on film, since I was very young. Probably too young to have watched it, but I watched it and enjoyed it. So definitely Conan the Barbarian for this one, which is of course an adaptation of the Conan stories of Robert E. Howard, as well as the comic book adaptation and a whole slew of pastiches. Prompt number 4. No, wait, that was prompt number 4. Prompt number 5. First convention you went to that was book related. For this, I'm going to actually have to go with an academic conference. When I was, I think it was in 2005, although it might have been a bit earlier. I don't quite remember when I was in college. One of my professors at St. Edward's, Brother George Clowitter, was a member of sort of an association of scholars who specialize in the Renaissance. He was himself a Renaissance specialist. he and his colleague at UT, University of Texas at Austin, co-hosted um, that year's conference in Austin, and somehow or other, me and my class were volunteered, or we volunteered to help out run registration, that sort of thing. And as a perk, we got to sit in on a few panels. And one of the panels I attended was a wonderful paper on, or featured a wonderful paper on Gargantua and Pantagruel. I think the scholar's name was, I think, Megan Conway. It was really good. I also went to a similar convention in the spring of 2006, and myself was a participant, because there was an organization called Sigma Tau Delta that gives undergrad English majors a chance to, and I think maybe also graduate, no, certainly undergraduate, I don't know about graduate, an opportunity to go to a professional style conference and present their work. And I went to the 2006 one in Portland, Oregon, and I presented a paper on Suddenly Last Summer by Tennessee Williams. Prompt number 6. Your first book club book or buddy read? I want to say the first time I did a buddy read or a group read was Dune in 2020. In 2020, a whole group of booktubers got together and did a reading of Dune by Frank Herbert, and I think the intention was to read the whole of the Dune novels written by Herbert. Although I think they missed 2. I think it kind of petered out. And then also the first 2 trilogies of the Thomas Covenant series, which by Stephen Donaldson Mitch or Massive Piles of Poo. But yeah, so I participated in Dune and the first of the Thomas Covenant books. I actually, yeah, because I think I read it. Well, anyway, but yeah, it would have been Dune. And then I also did a buddy read of Murder at the Vicarage by Agatha Christie with Deborah Johnson. She was a frequent commenter on my videos at the time. So yeah, but I think it would be Dune, would be my first buddy read. A book club of that sort where everybody reads the same book, I've never really been a part. I've never been a member of one. So for me, book clubs are always like the science fiction book club or those similar kind of book clubs that offer books at a discount. Anyway, prompt number 7. How much was the first Columbia House type book club? I have no idea. I don't even know what this is. So I'm not that old. Prompt number 8. Your favorite small chain that isn't around anymore? I remember there was a 2 bookstore chain in the San Francisco Bay Area. One was in San Francisco, and I think the other one was in Berkeley. I want to say it was like Stockton Books, or it might have been on Stockton Street in San Francisco. I don't remember. But it was a pretty cool little bookstore chain. I went to the one in San Francisco. It wasn't that far away from where I was living, so I would just walk up there and buy some books. And I really enjoyed going there, although I wasn't in San Francisco all that long. but still, it's my favorite small town, or my small chain that doesn't exist anymore. I think it's been about 10 years or so when um, the stores finally closed down. Prop number 9. The first item you bought at a Barnes& and Noble or a Borders or other big chain box store type place. For this, I'm going to go with, I'm pretty sure it's Poirot Investigates by Agatha Christie, because I think that was around the time that Barnes & Noble opened a store in Waco. And I think the first book I bought at Barnes & Noble was Poirot Investigates, because at the time I was getting really into detective fiction, and Agatha Christie in particular. Pretty much was like Agatha Christie, and everybody else not so much, or not as much, but certainly Agatha Christie. And then I pretty much bought a whole slew of Christie novels from Barnes & Noble at the time. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure Poirot Investigates was the first Agatha Christie novel I ever owned. Yeah. And finally, prop number 10, tag some old folks. If you would like to do this tag, whether you're young or old, consider yourselves tagged. So that was the Damn I'm Old book tag. I'll be back tomorrow with another tag video. There seem to be quite a few tag videos that are popping up this week that sound very interesting that I want to get to, and some from last week or the week before that I want to get to. So I'm going to have quite a few book tags to do this week. I might even be doing some double tags if I have time. But anyway, book tip, that's all I've got for today. So thank you. Have a great evening, since I'm doing this later than I normally do, except for weekly reads. And I will see you tomorrow. So till then, BookTube, thank you and stay safe.